Hey, this is Mark with Tech Necessity. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can delete old rendered files from your hard drive to save hard drive space. Have you ever thought, my hard drive's getting a little bit full? Well, today I'm going to show you how you can free up extra hard drive space by deleting old rendered files from your Final Cut Pro projects. Before I get started, if you guys like my channel, please subscribe. Let's get into it. Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how you can free up hard drive space on your computer or your external hard drive. The reason why I like to do this is because all of my projects I do on an external hard drive. I don't store any of the original media, anything on my hard drive, so that hard drive fills up pretty quickly, especially since I only have a 1 terabyte hard drive that I use. So what I like to do is go back and delete the rendered files from my projects, because by doing this it actually frees up a lot of space, but it also allows me to keep my projects and I don't have to delete them. So let me go ahead and show you something real quick. This is my external hard drive I use. If you look at it, if I open it up, you can see that I keep my YouTube edits here, but I have my Final Cut Pro documents that I store here. So all of my different libraries that I have are all stored in here. So let's go ahead and look at the storage on this particular drive. So if I hit Command I can see that this particular drive is a 1 terabyte drive. I've used 546 gigs and there is 453 left, roughly. So as I do my projects, this drive fills up and fills up and fills up, and sometimes it gets to the point where it's almost full. So in order for me to free up that space, I go through and I delete the rendered files on any of my old projects that I'm not going to be using anymore. So if you remember this number, 453.44, that's what we have left on this hard drive right now. So I'm going to close this. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and open up Final Cut Pro. So this is a project that I just finished. This particular video did have quite a bit of effects that are in it. So I had some 3D animations that I built, but there were quite a bit of filters and transitions, things like that I used. When you do that, it actually takes up quite a bit of space on your hard drive, because every time you alter the footage in any way, your computer, Final Cut Pro, actually has to create a rendered file of the changes that you made. So if you look above it, typically if the files have not been rendered, you'll see a little dotted line that runs right along the top of your timeline. There is no dotted line on this. All of this entire sequence has been rendered out, so there are rendered files for it. Now let me go ahead and show you where those files are. So if I go ahead and hide Final Cut Pro. So if I go into my Final Cut Pro documents and I look at my edits that I've done, this is the Final Cut Pro library. Now this library includes all of the different projects, all of the different events that I'm working on that are associated with this particular library. So if I right click on it, I can go to Show Package Contents. What this will show me is what's involved inside of this project. So I have my demo reel, I have some motion templates, I have another contest I'm working on, and this is the music video that I edited. So if I open this file, this folder up, and I look under rendered files, let's go ahead and right click on this and we'll get some info on that. You can see that this particular file has 7.3 gigs of rendered files in it. So essentially 7.3 gigs of files on my hard drive, this external hard drive, are taken up by just the rendered files from this project. Now the rendered files are not necessary for the project to still exist. If I delete these files, my project will still be there. The only thing that will change is that if I want to look at it or work on it again, I'm going to have to re-render all of those files. So one way to remove these files would be to select them all. I could just delete these. If I was to just delete these folders, that's one way of removing these files. But what I'm going to show you is a way that you can do this in Final Cut Pro that's actually fairly simple. So let's go back to Final Cut Pro now. Alright, so now that I'm back in Final Cut Pro, if I select the project that I would like to remove the rendered files from, which is my music video file project that's inside of my music video event. So if I select this project file and I go up to File, Delete Generated Project Files. And then over here it gives me the option to delete rendered files, delete optimized files, or delete proxy media. So optimized files are essentially the original media that your computer, your project is using. So wherever you have that stored. So if you'd like to delete the original media and say only keep your proxy media, this would be a way to do that. Proxy media, if you don't know, is essentially a copy of all the project files that you have that you're using for your project, but it decreases the size to about half. So what that allows you to do is actually work with your project files. Say you're using all 4K files, this will actually shrink them down so that they're a little bit more manageable for the computer to handle, and it'll allow you to add effects and do some video layering and things like that without bogging down your system. I don't actually have any proxy media for this project, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Delete Rendered Files and then click OK. And if you look down at my timeline now, you'll see that this dotted line has now appeared over my entire project. And what that has done essentially is it's showing me that I have deleted those rendered files, and I now need to re-render this if I'd like to watch it. You can see this dotted line is actually starting to go away again, and what that's doing is my project has already started to re-render these files, as you can see, because it's set up to start rendering if I'm not doing anything with the project. So I'm going to go ahead and pause that real quick. Now if I want to take a look at my hard drive again, so if I hide Final Cut Pro, remember these rendered files had 7 gigs in them, so if I right click on this again, I say get info, you'll see that there is only 418 megabytes now. And the reason why that 418 megabytes is there is because it started to re-render the files after I had deleted them. So let's go and take a look at our hard drive now. So if I right click here and I get info on that, you'll see that I have now freed up. If you remember before, it was at 453 or something like that available. So I've actually freed up 7 gigs now of hard drive space. This can become very helpful if you have a lot of projects you're working on because they can take up quite a bit of space. By just deleting those rendered files, it'll allow you to free up a lot of space on your hard drives. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you can free up some space on your hard drives.